Do's and don'ts of weight loss. We're talking about psychology-backed, sustainable, and real-life focused. If your plan requires misery, that's not discipline. That's like a punishment. It's a really sad thing when I see someone achieve their goal, they hit their dream body, they do whatever they wanted to do, but then it was under a way that was so restrictive and so starved and so deprived because it's just a ticking time bomb to gaining everything back. Don't assume you need to cut carbs, sugar, or wine, or whatever fill-in-the-blank foods to lose weight. So many people, when they go to lose weight, they immediately just assume carbs are bad, sugars are bad, processed foods are bad, going out to eat's bad, wine is bad, I can't love and eat any of this stuff. But that could be further from the truth. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new episode of Dieting from the Inside Out. If you're new around here, welcome to the show. My name is Jared Hamilton, and I am your host every single week. Now, in today's episode, we are talking about the do's and don'ts of weight loss. So this is just like your field guide of like, start doing this stuff and stop doing this stuff. So this is not, though, your normal do's and don'ts list. I'm going to make a few assumptions that you probably know. Yes, you need to be in a calorie deficit to lose weight. Yes, we need to be consistent. I want this content to be new to you. I want what I'm going to get into on these do's and don'ts for you to go, I've never heard of that. Or, I've never heard it put like that before. Versus most people's do's and don'ts list are like, be in a calorie deficit, be consistent, be mindful, Like, sorry, we're going to go a little bit deeper than that. Now, that's what we're going to do. Now, I have a whole list because if you have been around my show for any given period of time, I can pick a topic and just go down the deep end and go down this rabbit hole. So I don't know how many of these I'm going to get to. I basically put down 10 do's and 10 don'ts, and I'm going to alternate do, don't until the episode is over. So if we get to all 20, cool. If we get to 2 of each, cool too, because that means we're getting deep and heavy. So let's dive in. Do's and don'ts of weight loss. We're talking about psychology-backed, sustainable, and real life focused. Okay. But we're going to alternate do's and don'ts. So the first do on the list is build habits you can keep on your hardest days, not just your best ones. At the end of the day, consistency isn't built in motivation and in just the highlight reel. It's built in reality. Because let's I keep hiccuping. Because let's be real. Your life is not just perfect all the time. The hard reality is most people, when they set out to lose weight and they go, all right, I'm going to do this, they are in a highlight moment. They are motivated. They are sick and tired of being sick and tired. And they are at this like pinnacle moment where they're like, I'm going to go change my life. And then they make all their decisions there. In that moment is when they go, I'm going to work out 5 days a week. I'm going to start tracking all my macros. I'm going to start following this meal plan. I'm going to do this and this and this and this and this. And then 4 days later, and they go, why the fuck am I doing this? And then they fall off. Then they do that all over again for the next like decade. And I don't want you falling into that trap. So the first do on my list is build habits that you can do on your hardest days. If we zoom out for a second, how many of your days what kind of percentage is your days not very good? You're stressed, things are chaotic, you're running behind, you have a million things going on. You could use like 30 hours in the day, but you're only stuck with 24. And nothing is going right, and you do not feel motivated anymore to do the things that you committed to doing. That's how we should plan your journey. That's what we do for clients, right? This way, whenever you're cool, calm, and collected and things are good, like cool, it's a bonus. But if we're planning for like, hey, what can we do to keep your head above the water on the hardest days possible, then you'll become what I call bulletproof. Here's the other part. If you are creating your plan that is doable on the hard days, you're not going to be surprised when the hard days hit you in the face like a 2x4. And you're not going to follow down the sabotage path like everyone else. And then when a hard day comes, you go, I'm just going to start over Monday. You know what? I want to wait to do this until I can focus on, give this 100% of my bandwidth. I'm sorry, you're an adult. You've given up your 100% bandwidth days a long time ago because you have kids to take care of. You have a job, you have responsibilities, you have people you're helping. You have so many things that you do as the super mom or super individual in your life. So this is where we have to change how we're approaching this. You can't keep approaching it from the highlight reel days. You have to go, okay, what's realistic? Because at the end of the day, if you are super busy, have a million things going on, are ambitious, are successful, carry a lot of responsibilities, has a calendar that never slows down, and one thing led to the other, and travel and kids and work and this and this and this, you better have your habits that you can do with that. Otherwise, you're going to do good for a while, fall off because life gets not perfect, and then you're going to keep repeating the cycle for the next 20 years. So we have to break that. So that's the first do. I don't know how to do a strike through, so we're going to just put an emoji on these. If you're watching the video, I'm just messing around with my keyboard. Okay, so that's the first do. All right, let's now go switch over to a don't. So let's talk about the don'ts, because these are like common traps, belief shifts, and hidden psychology hooks that I want you to follow through on. Okay. Or I'm not hooks, psychology hacks, I should say. So number one is under don't restrict your way to weight loss and think it's control. It's a really sad thing when I see someone achieve their goal, they hit their dream body, they do whatever they wanted to do, but then it was under a way that was so restrictive and so starved and so deprived, because it's just a ticking time bomb to gaining everything back. And it breaks my heart every time, because I honestly, I've been there where if you lose a bunch of weight, then gain it back, it's sometimes really hard to come back from that, because now you are back to A, where you started, but B, now you have all the defeat there, and then you have another rep in the wrong direction. And over time, your brain will go, I don't know how long I can fail. I don't know how long I'm going to give this. That's the really hard truth. That's not in my notes, is that your brain only has so many failures in the tank until it quits trying. Now, I don't know how many of that is, and y'all are a resourceful bunch. Like, I think I read the average, I can't remember off the top of my head, but I want to say the average person diets it's in the 3 digits of a lifetime, like hundreds of times, but which is really resourceful, and it's really like get back up mentality. But at the end of the day, though, the mind gravitates to what it's most familiar with. So if you're most familiar with falling off, it's no wonder you fall off in your sleep, or you fall off like so easily. Or as soon as things go well, your nervous system is like, ooh, this is going too well. I don't know if this is safe. You know what? I think I'm just going to fall off because at least it feels safe. That's what happens to most people. So do not restrict your way to weight loss and think it's control and think it's a good thing. This is when a lot of people flex their willpower a little bit too much, where yes, you're going to have to use willpower. Yes, you're going to have to use discipline, but you should not be using like 11 out of 10 effort of willpower and discipline to get to where you want to be. Because at the end of the day, one makes you feel powerful, but the other makes you feel trapped. And if you are restricted on your entire journey, or that's the only way you got to the result that you have, like you restricted calories, you restricted your favorite foods, you restricted everything you love in life, you restricted food groups. I talked about this on 1 or 2 episodes ago, and it's just not sustainable. And then it's no wonder when reality comes back and then you gain all of your weight back. And I hate to see that happen. So don't restrict your way to weight loss and think it's control. And if you are sitting there going, well, no, Jared, it's the only way I can lose weight. The only way I can ever get the scale to shift is if I am starving, restricting, giving up everything I know and love the most. Well, then we got some work to do. And you should, one, just jump into coaching and apply and let us undo all of that. But if that's the only way, there's some serious blockages there. And we got some serious under the hood work we need to do, because that's not how it's supposed to be. And it is fixable. Okay. So that's your first don't. Let's keep going. I kind of like this faster paced. We're only 10 minutes in. Okay. Back to do. So do's and don'ts of weight loss. Do: eat the foods you actually enjoy. If you're newer to this and you've been swimming around diet culture for any given period of time, that's going to sound kind of crazy. Because diet culture teaches you to, one, if you love it, you might as well get rid of it because you're going to overeat it. Where if it has any level of flavor, nope, get it out of the house. You should only eat blandless, tasteless food. Or if it's a food that you actually enjoy, let's say that's not a health food by a label's term, then you shouldn't eat it. But no, you should absolutely be eating foods you enjoy. If your plan requires misery, that's not discipline. That's like a punishment. Listen, God gave you taste buds for a reason, sweetheart. You're supposed to enjoy your food. And if you're feeling trapped on your plan where you can't eat the foods you actually enjoy, whether you think they're bad or you can't control yourself around them or you always overeat them, well, one, we need to fix that. We need to solve for that. Otherwise, nothing else will matter. But then also, If even the regular, like more nutritious food, you're like, I don't really like them. Well, we need to like learn how to season. There's so many ways to make really good for you foods that are really nutritious to make it taste amazing. I mean, hell, just go on Amazon and search like whatever it is you like, or Google whatever it is you like flavorings that taste like pizza, and you can literally get flavorings to make your chicken breast taste like pizza, or whatever the case may be, or find out whatever food you like at a restaurant. There are so many ways you can Google the recipe and go, oh, well, if I substitute this for this, it tastes the same without 800 calories of oil. Whatever the case is, this is not a cooking show, but you get what I'm saying. Is one of the best things you can do is eat foods you actually enjoy. Because if we take out deprived or deprivation or restricted or this misery component to weight loss, how much easier would it be to stay on point? Because like I said at the beginning of the episode, you know you need to be consistent. So what if we just take away all the things that make it hard to be consistent? Think about it. If you always fall off because you feel like you're dieting all the time, you feel restricted, you can't eat your favorite food, you can't go to your favorite social events, all the foods you love in the pantry are like no, so you damn near put zip ties on your pantry door because you can't control yourself around peanut butter crackers or Oreos. We got work to do, because if that's going on, we are not ready for weight loss. This is why in my program, just to give you context, is we don't let our clients go into fat loss out the gate. Fat loss is stage 2 in my program. Stage 1 is called what the show's name is. It's called dieting from the inside out, because we have to diet from the inside out before we diet for real, fix all these internal issues where you feel like you have to put a padlock on your pantry because you're uncontrolled and always thinking about food. Once we fix all those and check all those boxes, now we can go into fat loss. And it doesn't suck. It's not that big of a deal. Yeah, you're going to have days that suck, but it's not the living hell that diet culture has made you think that you have to live in. So that's the second do, is eat foods you actually enjoy and check all the fat loss boxes, calorie deficit, high protein, mostly whole foods, exercise, water, all that stuff. But if it's with foods you actually enjoy eating, like you're not going to fall off. It's going to be really hard to fall off, I should say. Okay, that's number 2 for the do's. We're going to put my emoji keys aren't working, so we're putting asterisks. Okay, back to don'ts. Don't try and make up for overeating. This is such a common thing, unfortunately. This idea or concept of people making up for overeating. And first of all, if you can hear this mic is really sensitive. If you hear what sounds like someone eating pudding out of a pudding cup without using their hands, my dog Remy is licking his paws on the other side of the room, but it's really loud. So if you hear that, I apologize. And that's exactly what that noise is if this guy's picking it up. But anyway, back to the don'ts. Don't try to make up for overeating. Look, it's part of the journey. If you are following a podcast called Dieting from the Inside Out, where the vast majority of what we talk about here is your relationship with food, sustainable fat loss, mindset, inner work strategies, and undoing your subconscious patterns from childhood, you're going to spend some time overeating before you get fully on the other side of it. It's called healing. You don't go from like struggle bus, hardcore honking that horn to zero struggle bus. You go from struggle bus, honking the horn to less, to less, to less, to less, to less, to less. Oh, I can't remember the last time I did this. That's how this goes. So if you end up overeating because this is part of the journey of healing, you don't have to be perfect. We don't make up for that here. You're not undoing calories. Whenever you do try to make up for overeating, you're not undoing what you ate. You're just actually reinforcing guilt and more negative patterns. Because what most people do is they overeat, they binge, they fall off on the weekend, they overindulge, whatever the case may be. And then they go, oh no, I have to undo this. So then they're starving themselves the next day. They're restricting carbs or sugar, or they're eating extra low calories the next day, or they might go to the gym and try to burn it off. Or I've had people go, Jared, can I just like not eat tomorrow to undo this? One, it's not helping at all. You can't undo that. Imagine on like the windiest day ever, me taking a shredder bucket, like, you see at offices where they fill up, they shred a bunch of paper. Now you have all the almost confetti, and me throwing it up into the air in the middle of very busy, very windy Times Square, New York. And then I go, okay, go pick up all the pieces. That's you trying to undo your calories when you overeat. It doesn't work. 2, you're going to feel like a failure because you can't do it. And number 3, it's actually going to tee up you to do it again, because you overeating. This is why they call it the restrict binge cycle, because you're going to overeat and then you go, I need to compensate for that. Then you restrict, then you feel super restricted because you're now working against your own psychology. Then you binge again or overeat, then you restrict, and it continues on and on. You have to break the cycle. You stop the restriction, you stop the binge. Plain and simple. Like, you can't play catch when one person just drops the ball. Catch is over. So stop playing catch with yourself with this overeat, restrict, binge, restrict, whatever the case is. So we don't make up for it. So here's what we do. We go, that happened. Okay, back on track. Then when you are emotionally regulated, then we go, okay, why did that happen? What can I do for when these things come back around? Because they're going to. Patterns are like a boomerang. They are going to come back around. They don't just magically stop. So this is why you should be ready for them. It's why when we coach our clients, it's the same thing. We are ready for them. We have them written out. We have the plans and strategies. The whole works ready to go. So whenever you do overeat or whatever whatever happens, you go, oops, that happened. Forgive yourself, let it go, and you get back on track, whatever that looks like for you, like nothing happened. Then, like I said, when you were emotionally regulated, now you figure out why it happened. Because at the end of the day, patterns keep going on because it's what a pattern is. It's a subconscious set of habits that always resurface over and over again until the pattern is stopped. So it's going to happen again, which means you need to go, okay, what caused it? Where did it stem from? What's the root cause of it? And then what can I do to stop it in the future? That's what we do for clients. So if you're not a client, then you need to do that for you. So that's the second do. Now let's go into the second, or no, that's the second don't. Sorry, I got my stuff mixed up. That's the second don't. Don't try to make up for overeating. Let's go to number three. Third do. Do focus on progress, not perfection. If you look, as a retired perfectionist, I used to absolutely call myself a perfectionist. I used to take pride in being a perfectionist. And I was lying through my teeth. I didn't realize it, but I was living in just what wasn't true. I was not a perfectionist. I had tendencies to try to be perfect that didn't work, but every other area in my life was not perfect by any means. So by the trait of that, I wasn't a perfectionist. Literally think of it this way. How can you say you're a perfectionist, but then your bed's not made? How can you say you're a perfectionist, but you're not perfectly manicured 24/7? How can you say you're a perfectionist, but then struggle with food? How can you say you're a perfectionist when your office, and I'm staring at my desk right now when there's shit all over my desk? How can you say you're a perfectionist when there's dishes in the sink? I say all that not to sound like a dick or to feel like to call you out, but to bring light of that means you're not a perfectionist. An actual true perfectionist is perfect everywhere. Otherwise, they're not a perfectionist. If you're a perfectionist in one area of your life and don't give a fuck in another, then you're not a perfectionist. That means you have tendencies right here in this area, but not anywhere else, i.e. not a perfectionist. So this is why we focus on progress, not perfection, because I hate to break it to you, you're not Jesus. You're not going to be perfect. We are all flawed humans who aren't perfect, who live very imperfect lives, who live in stress and responsibility for others, and so much stuff going on in a wild, wild west of the world. So you're not going to be perfect, which means let's just stay with making progress and call it good. Now, the part of you that is upset right now that's like, no, Jared, I have to be perfect. I go, or what happens? Welcome to something we need to work through. Because you probably learned this whole perfectionist thing as a child to not get hurt and to keep yourself safe. Good job. Love that. That's where all these things come from. But you're not a child anymore. The threat is not there anymore to be perfect, which means we need to heal through it. This is almost like, I'm not a therapist, but this is where therapist Jared is we need to heal through this. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a psychologist. That different conversation. But this is where we need to heal through that. This is where a lot of people bring their childhood issues into weight loss and wonder why it wrecks weight loss. Because you learned this whole perfection thing when you were little to not get hurt, or in college to make sure you passed nursing school or whatever it was, but it's kept going with you and it doesn't need to be. But it's hard to let go of perfection, isn't it? Because guess what? That part of your brain's like, no, we're going to die. We're going to get hurt. We're going to fail. We're going to get neglected. We're going to, whatever the thing is, which means we need to do the inner work around it. We need to do inner child work. We need to do belief system reframing. We need to do new neural pathways. We need to do all sorts of mental stuff. Guess what? We do all of those things in my program. Fun fact. But for the purpose of this episode, you need to just focus on progress, not perfection. We can let go of this perfectionism. You do not have to be perfect. And fun fact, it's impossibly perfect. Because you trying to be perfect is actually making you fuck up a whole lot. Think about it. The concept of you trying to be perfect, it's so rigid, so strict, it actually makes you fall off more than you're on. So if I just go, hey, we don't have to be perfect. Let's focus on progress and let's work in these guidelines and not this tightrope, you'll actually make better decisions unconsciously, which is closer to perfection than what you were doing. It's crazy how that works. It's almost like your psychology is involved, where the more rigid we make something, the more you rebel against it. The more rules, the more fall off. The more on, the more off. It's because you're probably working against your own brain. We have to work with your brain and work with your psychology, okay? Because again, that all or nothing mindset is what keeps you stuck in that start over Monday and that, oh, I can't be perfect, I might as well fall off, all this stuff. But if you're making progress, that's all that matters. Even if the reality isn't the greatest yet. Let's say you still have weight to lose, but you're like, no, at least my pants are getting looser. Boom, progress. If you used to do big binges, now you have small overeating sessions. Beautiful, progress. Think about it this way. This is not in my notes. Think about it like this. When you, I'm just going to assume you have kids, and if you don't, like, just pretend. Imagine when your kids were born, and in that stage of where kids are like going from not conception, when they go from 1 day old to like 1 year old, so many milestones happen almost daily, right? They go from being just like a sack of potatoes that's just sleeping all the time to now its eyes are open. You go, oh, someone's opening their eyes. You're so excited. When? Progress. Are they walking, running, talking to you? No, but you don't care because you go, they're making progress. Their eyes are open now. Her eyes, it's just beautiful. And then all of a sudden the kid farts and smiles and you go, oh, you love mommy. You're smiling at mommy. No, the kid shit itself and it feels better. That's why it's smiling. But again, she's now using her facial muscles. So you're going, oh my gosh, and you get excited. Then all of a sudden you're having tummy time and the little kid lifts their head up, looks around and smacks their face off the ground because that's what babies do. And you go, oh, someone's neck is getting so strong. Oh my gosh. You weren't like, no, you suck because you're not running and climbing on the couch. You go, oh my gosh, let's call grandma. You're so excited because it progressed. Think about when the kid starts walking. It goes from like walking, or it goes from like you holding holding your fingers while it walks to it took maybe a step, if that, before it falls. And all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, we got to get the video camera out, call grandma, call the news. Oh my gosh, my baby's getting so big. It's because you're excited about progress. The thought of your child having perfection is not even in the conversation. You're not talking shit to the child. Be like, well, you only took 2 steps, then you fell. You over here, your older brother took 5 before he fell, and then comparing it and making him feel like a piece of shit. You don't do that. Every tiny milestone of progress, you get so excited. It would really be really helpful if you started doing that for you. Any semblance of progress, you're like, oh my gosh. And you'll find it's way easier to lose weight and get to where you want to be. So number 3, do is focus on progress, not perfection. Okay. Let's go to on the don'ts. Do's and don'ts. Number 3, don't assume you need to cut carbs, sugar, or wine, or whatever fill in the blank foods to lose weight. You have to understand the goal is balance, not punishment. So many people, when they go to lose weight, they immediately just assume carbs are bad, sugars are bad, processed foods are bad, going out to eat's bad, wine is bad. I can't love and eat any of this stuff. I can't eat any of the foods that I love or any of this stuff. But that could be further from the truth. The dope thing is moderation is like the ultimate life hack in fat loss, whereas you can have anything and in moderation inside a calorie deficit and lose weight. You like to drink? You like wine, bourbon, beer? Cool. It's in a calorie deficit. You'll lose weight. You like going out to eat and have date night and eat out a few times a week like I do? Cool. Make sure it's in moderation within your numbers. And guess what? You'll lose weight. If you're the mom that's like, you know what? I hate making food for my kids. And then for me, I just wish we could all have the same food on the kitchen table. Dope. Welcome to what my clients are like. And that's what we teach them, because you shouldn't have to do that. Play this like food Tetris where mommy's food and everyone else's food, because that's making you actually filled with resentment. You're going to probably fall off. And then your kids are noticing, wow, every time mommy's dieting, she's in a horrible mood. It happens. So at the end of the day, you can make all this work. Don't assume all these statements around carbs are bad, sugar's bad, I got to give up this, I have to starve this. It's wrong. You don't have to. I cannot tell you over the last 15 years, the thousands of people that I've worked with inside coaching, I cannot tell you how many, I've lost count, who swore to God They could not eat sugar and lose weight. They could not eat carbs and lose weight. They could not eat over 1,200 calories and lose weight. The same women, PCOS, thyroid issues, autoimmune issues, food issues, crazy busy, all the stuff that you could think of didn't matter because it's how we plan this. And they lost weight just fine and keep it off. So at the end of the day, don't assume you have to cut out all that stuff because whoever told you that lied or was trying to sell you something. So back to the do column. Do's and don'ts of weight loss. Number 4, do make peace with the scale. Look, the scale is feedback. It's not judgment. Your worth is not changing regardless of what you weigh. And here's the reality. That son of a bitch doesn't tell the whole story. I cannot tell you. We might even throw the images up on the screen on the YouTube of this. But I cannot tell you how many women we've worked with who had wild life-altering transformations that weigh the exact same. Somehow someone goes from looking pregnant to a flat stomach and all of a sudden, but then the scale stays the same because it's just how the card's laid. Like it's kind of like the old saying, what weighs more? A pound of feathers or a pound of bricks? Well, it's a pound, right? Now, obviously they take up different amounts of space, but if you lost 5 pounds of fat and gained 5 pounds of muscle, or gained 5 pounds of hydration, or gained 5 pounds of glycogen stores, or gained 5 pounds of, it doesn't matter. You'll weigh the exact same, but your composition and what that looks like is totally different. If you gain 5 pounds of something like muscle and water and you lose 5 pounds of pure body fat, you will look like a different human. But if you're only living and dying by what a little digital readout tells you, whether you're good or not, you're going to live being trapped. It's like most people have an identity crisis every time the scale fluctuates. Just so you know, it's supposed to. The scale should always fluctuate because your body is always changing. You're always putting different amounts of water, food, and you don't shit consistently, like all of this stuff. So there's so many reasons the scale would go up, down, and sideways. So if every time it fluctuates, you're like, oh my gosh, you're going to have identity crises every single day. If your identity is wrapped up in the scale, no, I should weigh this. No, a 5 foot something, 100 something pounds something, 200 pounds something should weigh this. No, not really. This is a really unpopular opinion. I don't believe in ideal body weights. There's so many factors that don't matter that make up what you weigh in different phases of your life. But most people are comparing their body weight from back when they were in high school or college, before kids, before life, and while they had a borderline eating disorder and said, I should weigh that. No, you shouldn't. Based on what, according to whom? Oh, well, you have all this progress showing you're losing body fat and gaining muscle tissue and getting healthier while your scale is staying the same, if not going up. So what's that actually tell us? It sounds like we're skewing the data and looking at what I weigh and taking it completely out of context. Stop. Make peace with the scale. Please hear me when I say this. I'm going to look really intentionally in the camera when I say this. Your dream body weighs more than what you want it to. I'm sorry, but that's just the way it is. And I tell you that not to disappoint you or any of that, but to be real with you and make you go, oh, that sucks. Not for you. It sucks for your ego. Because it's not what you want it to weigh, it's what your ego wants it to weigh. We all have an ego, by the way, that old self, that old pattern talking in the back of our heads. That's what your ego wants. The ego is like, no, I'll be happy when I lose weight. The ego is like, no, you're a perfectionist. The ego is like, no, you messed up a little bit. You might as well throw in the towel. Your ego is like, oh no, you should be able to do this on your own. You don't need help. No, the ego is not here to help you. It served you at some point. That's why that voice is coming up, but it doesn't serve you now. But if you think your voice and the ego's voice are the same, it's going to be a really hard game. But this is one of the first things that we teach our clients is to establish like, oh, that's not my voice. Oh, that's the ego. Oh, that's my mom. Oh, that's my dad. Oh, that's my old 14-year-old self in 8th grade when I got made fun of for being fat, like whatever. Because when you can establish, not my voice, you are starting to break free from these subconscious patterns. And that's where the magic happens. Okay. Now that's number 4. What kind of time we got? 29 minutes. Let's keep going. Okay. Number 5 on the, oh, that was number 4. Sorry. All right. Number 4 on the don'ts. I got a little lost for a second. So we're talking, to recalibrate, we're talking the do's and don'ts of weight loss. Number 4 on the don'ts. Don't expect your body to change faster than your habits. Realize this. You are looking in a mirror. Whether you are trying to lose weight, so the mirror, the reflection is actually different, like your waistline and your clothes and all that. But then also internally, if you want to be free around food, if you want to be normal around food, if you want to stop stress eating, if you want to quit being controlled by food where food always wins, you have to understand the mirror is just the reflection. Well, which means you can't expect that to change faster than your habits. The amount of people I will talk off the metaphorical ledge who go, Jared, I should have lost more weight by now. I shouldn't still be struggling with food. This is still going on. This is still going on. And I go, it's been 10 weeks. Like nothing magical is supposed to happen. Now I know every ad on Facebook says you can lose like 15 pounds in 10 weeks and somehow like shrink your hips and all this other stuff and look like you had liposuction, but that's not the case in reality. Those are people unethically marketing to you. So you have to understand that and expect your body to change, and don't expect your body to change faster than your habits. Transformation takes time. Hear me when I say this, real transformation. I'm not talking about losing like 5, 10, 15 pounds of water weight. I'm not talking about losing some weight and in 3 months gaining it back because you lost it in a really, I'll be honest, ignorant way. I'm not in the business of that. If I've literally been working the last decade and a half with thousands and thousands of women on having real long-lasting transformation, and guess what? That shit takes a minute. You are fighting quite literally decades and decades of old conditioning and struggle. Like put numbers out here for, I can't talk. I'm filming this like at 10 o'clock at night. I'm going to put numbers out here. Let me get this straight. You've struggled for multiple years, or let's just say decades, 20, 30 years. And you expect all these problems to be gone in like 4 months, 5 months, 6 months. Don't get me wrong. We have to start somewhere. Like I'm not trying to sound like a dickhead. And I like to view it this way. Like when we work with people, we start everyone, like let's say with 6 months as a springboard to like really get this thing off the ground. And we can create crazy results. And don't get me wrong, like when you have all the stuff the right way with the right help, the right support, the right systems, the right framework, you can have the fastest results that it's still sustainable, but it's still not one of those things where it's like you're done. Very few people can undo and have every result that they want in 6 months. And I would tell you this, not just with my program, with any program. Because if you're undoing every single thing and losing like the 30 to 40 pounds that you've been trying to lose and fix all your issues around food in less than a year, like we have to get our expectations aligned. Don't get me wrong though. Don't take this out of context. We can make wild progress and have a hell of a springboard, but it's also important to make sure your expectations are aligned appropriately, because true transformation takes time. You cannot rush healing. You cannot rush fat loss, because you know what happens when you do? A rebel pattern comes out. You know what happens when you try to force fat loss to speed up? All of a sudden you like know what to do, but don't do it. Or all of a sudden you're so stressed now where you're not sleeping, you're not recovering, your motivation's gone, and now your adherence starts to tank. Or if all of a sudden you have a lot of issues and baggage around food or your emotions or whatever the case may be, and you're like, no, I need to work through this now. You'll have a protector part of you going, not safe. Imagine having a kid that's terrified of the dark, damn near had a traumatic experience in the dark. And all of a sudden you're like, no, you must go into the dark and work through this. The kid's going to fight you on the door frame, be like, no, I'm not going in. That's kind of where most of you are at right now. You're trying to speed through your freedom around food and feel normal again when we have a lot of stuff to work through. Or you're trying to force the 40 pounds you're trying to lose and because you have a vacation or because you're tired of being tired. I get it. Like I said, everything I teach, I've been through myself. And it's one of those things where we can hold space and go, you know what? I don't like how long this is taking. I'm frustrated. I'm stressed. I'm discouraged. Well, let's just sit with those emotions and go, you know what? I'm allowed to feel those. That doesn't mean we need to change our actions and jump ship on the plan. That's why part of being committed is actually a decision. Committed to a framework or for a system or a program or a set of actions or whatever the case may be to decisions is not a emotion. You don't feel committed. Committed is a decision that you make every day that always results in, it doesn't change regardless of if you feel any different, right? I mean, think about like at the altar when you get married. You're making a commitment to your partner. That's why they say for better, for worse, for riches, for poor, in sickness and in health, is because, hey, all the reasons you're going to want to leave when your partner looks different, when they feel different, when you're going through shit, when they get diagnosed with a massive medical problem, you're committing to this. It's the same thing here. most people treat their commitment like it's motivation. Where it comes, it goes. It might be here, it might not, so I can't rely on it. No. Commitment is a decision. It is an action that you sign up for, essentially. And I'm not talking about like a program. I'm talking about like with you doing the things that you said you would do and changing your life. So if that's the kind of transformation you want, the one that stays, the transformation that changes your entire family tree, the one that like your family notices and feels, and then your daughters and kids start changing their actions, and then all of a sudden everything in your life course corrects, and you are the one that stopped all this bullshit through your family history, that takes time. And if you want to be the one that loves the way you look, loves the way you feel, undoes all the struggle and is happy and thriving and passes that down to your kids, well, then it takes time. So that's the don't. Don't expect your body to change faster than your habits, because the habits have to start first, and then results are always late to the party. Okay, moving on. Do's and don'ts of weight loss. Number 5 on the do plan for real life travel, stress, weekends, and chaos. Plan for that shit. Because here's the reality. Sustainable results come from flexibility, not rigidity. So here's I'm going to think of how I can formulate this the right way. I feel like I'm mumbling and stuttering a lot today. If every time something comes up, you jump ship, you are programming that into your brain. If every time a travel, stress, a weekend, chaos hits, you go, I'm going to like fall off. I know you don't say that. You convince yourself otherwise. You go, I'm going to pause. I'm going to take a break. I'm going to put a pin in this and hold off until life slows down where I can really give this a good intention. That's bullshit. That is, imagine if you did that for your marriage. You're going through financial hardship. You're going through some chaos. The hubs aren't feeling it very well. Kids are being crazy. So or work is nuts. And you go, you know what? I'm going to I know I signed up for that whole for better, for worse thing, but I'm actually just going to go get out of this so I can, until things slow down a little bit. That would make you a not very good human, right? And I'm not saying just because you jump ship when weight loss and life gets crazy, you're a bad human. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying from a core principle and value standpoint, how is it different? So here's where it gets crazy. Think of it this way. Let's say you do that. Let's say in your transformation, the fat loss stuff, life does slow down and you come back and you're like, yep, I'm on track, losing weight. You're basically signing up to fall off again. So this is where it comes down to the question of what kind of person do you want to be? Are you the kind of person who quits when things get a little messy, that when they get crazy, when they're not convenient, that you just jump ship? Is that the kind of person you are? Again, cool. No judgment from Jared either way. Actually, let's be honest, there's a little bit of judgment from Jared here, but I'm saying that from the standpoint of as a coach, you're never going to reach your goals. Logistically, your life is crazy. The life you signed up for, think about it. Let's zoom out. You picked your career. You chose to have the kids. You picked the person you were marrying. You chose where you live. You picked your friend circle. And with all the stuff what you spend your money on, the travel you choose, all the other stuff that goes on in your life, you picked that, which is awesome. I want you to live on your terms. I live on my terms. But then we can't use those same terms as a reason to be held captive by them. I got travel coming up for the next several months. Right. You're the one that booked that. Well, it's my work. Yeah. You picked that job. You went to school for that thing. You had the 4 kids, whatever it may be. So you have to understand that if you want results that last in all seasons, we can't be so quick to jump ship when rough seasons come up, or when the reality of the lifestyle that you chose and worked so hard for is here. Because at the end of the day, you don't have to pick. Now, that old all or nothing pattern, the ego that I referred back to, in those old parts of you that's on again, off again, and you doing trendy, cheap bullshit programs, yeah, that's never going to work. But all the women in my program are busy. They're successful. They're high achieving. They have a calendar that never slows down. They have kids. They have more responsibilities that would break the average man. And most of them could do with having 35 hours a day, and all they get is 24, and they maximize those. And they all get great results. It's because our plan is geared for real life in that stuff, and we work with it. It's dynamic, and it's sustainable for that. You need to do the same thing. That's how I want you to start thinking about this stuff, okay? That is number 5. And then number 5 on the don'ts column. Don't do anything extreme or all or nothing. At the end of the day, your life that I just described and extremism don't go together. How can you say, also think about what the things you've actually said you wanted. How can you say out of one side of your mouth, I don't want to have to think about this. I want to be normal around food. I want food to just be food. I don't want to have to think about dieting all the time. But then out of the other side of your mouth, you say, I'm an all or nothing person. Once I start, I can't stop. I know what to do, but don't do it. I'm a perfectionist. All that stuff. You can't have both. Actions and ambition have to line up. So if you want to be peaceful around food, we have to have a peaceful plan. If you want to be normal around food, we can't be extreme. If you want your lifestyle that's crazy and to have results that stay during every season, we have to have dynamics in balance, in moderation. So at the end of the day, don't do anything extreme or all or nothing. And if you have to go, is that extreme or all or nothing? It is. Stop. If it has a brand name diet, you shouldn't do it. If it has some crazy protocol where you have to take ridiculous amounts of supplements, or you have to cut out entire food groups, or you can't go out to eat, or you have to do all this crazy shit, for me, it goes, nope, can't do it. The motto that we use for clients is, if we can't do what we're about to do for the next 10 years, we don't do it for the next 10 days, because it doesn't matter and it shouldn't be done. Okay. All right, let me see. Let's do one more of each. I know we're coming up on 40 minutes, so 41 minutes. Let's do one more of each and then we'll call it. I want you to learn to hold space for your emotions and feel them. This stops all the stress, mindless, and levels of emotional eating that sabotage you. You have to learn to feel your emotions. It's also why it is one of the first things that we teach clients to do and give them frameworks on is how to feel. Because we live in a world of suppression, and you have so many coping mechanisms that are positive. I'm not saying you're just like pounding alcohol and shots every night to not feel shit, but there are so many positive, especially with the really successful, ambitious people we work with. There are so many good things they do that are actual emotional coping, whether they be work, the career, always on, pouring into the kids. You have a bad day. You're like, let's take the kids out. Let's go shopping. Let's go do this. Or shopping. Let's say you're doing well financially, so it's easy to just go like dopamine hit and you just run to the mall or go on an Amazon spree. Travel. There's what else? There's so many. Cleaning your house, all these different things. These are all great things. Work is great. Travel's great. Cleaning your house is great. Pouring into your kids is great. But doing it with emotional suppression, it's not okay. Even if it has a good reason. It's like, because even like the lesser of two evils is still an evil, right? So at the end of the day, we have to learn to feel your emotions. There's a lot of reasons why you may not feel okay or comfortable feeling them, because one, negative emotions suck. Fear, worry, anxiety, overwhelm, stress, uncertainty, scared, lonely. Those are not fun to experience. Most of us have negative internalizations around them and negative meanings around them. But part of having the human experience and healing and being emotionally regulated is feeling all of them. It's like grief. You all know, I'm sure most of you here listening have heard the concept of like, you have to go through the stages of grief to heal when like a loved one passes away. I'm not saying there's like all these steps to every emotion, but it's the same concept. You need to feel through sadness, feel through anxiety, feel through stress, feel through overwhelm, feel through discouragement. That doesn't mean we need to draw narratives and go, oh, I feel stressed, so this must be wrong. I'm discouraged, so I should go cut my calories. No. Feel, period. Not draw narratives and change your action plan. Learn how to hold space for your emotions. Otherwise, you're going to be on a crazy uphill battle, because most people also use food to cope with their emotions. And that's when it could be full out binge eating, or it may be just enough overeating when things get a little bit chaotic to throw you out of consistency. It doesn't need to be a lot. Like if every day you come home and you're eating and snacking because you're stressed and you're still on from work while you're making your kids food, but you do that 7 days a week, there goes your calorie deficit. Or if on the weekends when you're not working, you just want to unplug, but you find yourself like hand in the chip bag, eating while watching TV. Again, like you deserve to decompress and to relax, but there are so many unconscious habits that you do that are making you sabotage. It may not be a lot. It's not like the bleeding neck wound. It's death by 1,000 cuts. So that's number, I don't know, what was that? Number 6. All right, let's do one more for the no column, or the don'ts, the do's and don'ts of weight loss. Let's see, which one do we want? Actually, I'll go straight to number 10 on this one as well. Don't get results greedy. Most people struggle because once they start to taste a little bit of results and they're like, oh, I'm losing a little bit of weight. Oh, I feel a little bit better. My clothes are starting to fit better. They get results greedy and make really dumb decisions. And then that's when they go, oh, I cleaned up my diet just a little bit and I lost weight, or I started to feel better. Let me cut my calories in half. Or if they go, oh, I started working out like 1 or 2 days a week and I lost weight. Oh, let me go 7 days a week because I'm an all or nothing person. This is a problem. One of my favorite analogies for this results greedy thing is, imagine this. I want you to imagine you got a legal money machine where this thing spits out let's say $500 every day. Like, that's pretty dope. You somehow, the government gifted you a money machine that's like, you are legally printing money for yourself and it's totally fine. And it prints out $500 a day for you. So it's just like, done. And every day you're like, what am I going to go spend my money on today? And this way though, you look on the back and there's a switch that turns it up. Like it's set on like $500 a day, but you can turn it on $1,000 a day, $2,000 a day, $5,000 a day, $10,000 a day. And you do what most people do and go, I can turn this up, and it breaks. That would suck a lot. And after it broke, you're like, man, I kind of wish I would have been chill with just sitting at $500 a day. I wish I wouldn't have tried to increase it. Don't do the same thing in fat loss, because too many people are doing so good. But because you hear diet culture and everyone lying or telling their highlight reel in the office around, I've lost 30 pounds in 30 days. Oh, I do this. Oh, my coach had me do this, or my program has me do this. It makes you second guess and go, oh, well, I should do that. Oh, I want results like that. Oh, if this worked at a little bit, I'm going to do this for a lot of it. But it's like baking a cake. If the instructions say bake at 400 degrees for 40 minutes, you can't just ramp the heat up to 800 degrees and drop it for 20. It doesn't work like that. Your physiology and your psychology don't work like that either, which is why when it comes to all of this, don't get results greedy. Don't make decisions out of a place of, I need to get more faster. That also goes back to that emotional thing, because if you're emotionally regulated, you would have caught yourself going, oh, I feel jealous, I feel stressed, I feel discouraged, I feel greedy, I feel whatever. And then you would have felt through that and not made the bad decision. So then that is the last one on the don't list. Otherwise, my friends, that is it for today's episode of Dieting from the Inside Out. I appreciate you being here. Thank you so much for listening, and be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Also, if you like this kind of content and you want it to go deeper, and you have not grabbed my food noise guide, if you struggle with like thinking about food all the time, running to food when you're stressed, and all of this kind of like internal stuff, I have a full step-by-step guide on how to stop all of that and make fat loss 10 times easier. I'll leave it in my description. And that is it. I love you, and we'll talk to you next time.